Hey, this is Snowblitz.
Forest Rain.
Fritzy Beat.
And Starlight.
And this is Elements of Harmony.
Exactly who you are. I don't complain. I hold my head up, pushing through the pain. You don't know what you really need. Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Tonight on the show, we feature quite possibly the saxiest guest we've ever had. Sax Brony has been producing saxophone-based covers of My Little Pony and fandom music since August of 2012. He has been featured on songs from BronyMike, Sprocket, YourEnigma, Everfree Northwest and others. He has appeared on stage at Everfree Northwest and BronyCAN, and he joins us here tonight. And Sax Brony. All right, so, sorry. Sax Brony, how are you?
I'm doing very well. How about you guys?
Well, we're good.
Yeah, we're doing good.
So good news.
I got a cat.
You have a cat?
You have a cat, that's right. Starlight has a cat now.
Starlight does have a cat, yeah. It's a new thing.
This is news to me.
It's all we hear about now, honestly.
Oh dear.
That and me playing my 3DS or other games when I should be interviewing people.
Yeah, that happens a lot too. So, Sax Brony, real quick, question that I ask everybody just as soon as they come on, but for the people that don't know who you are, can you give a quick explanation of yourself?
I mean, I guess I'll do my best. I'll take a stab at it. So I'm just a guy who plays saxophones, and then one day decided to watch My Little Pony, and one thing led to another, and I ended up thinking that I had the skills required to record music. And, opened up GarageBand and was like, all right, I'm going to do this thing. And then played saxophone into a mic really loudly, pumped up reverb, and then Sax Brony was born. That's basically it.
And
just add reverb.
Just add reverb. It sounds like a lesson from Sliff.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. Oh, my.
Sliff uses copious amounts of reverb, but he's getting better at it.
He uses all the reverb.
I was like, what's this slider? Oh, okay, it sounds good if I slide. Okay, maybe if I just max this out, it'll sound maximum good, right?
Well, hey, I mean, Sliff he's got a thing going for him. Top rated song like 2 years in a row. Maybe that's just what you need to do. Lots of reverb.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure it's one of the secrets to Sliff's success. So you mentioned...
Yes, just like how Forrest uses hard panning.
Yeah, me and hard panning. We're best friends. I hate you forever, Free Brony. Anyway, so you mentioned that you kind of started out using GarageBand. Is that still the program that you're using?
That is, I mean, I haven't recorded much in a long time, but that's all I've ever used for the original work that I do. I say original as in cover. But yeah, it's honestly the only thing that was like readily available without having to like download it or buy things and apply patches and all that. Mm-hmm. So it was just there.
GarageBand is fantastic in that sense because it's something that's readily accessible for a lot of people that use Mac computers, and is kind of very easy to get into and sort of get into this world of producing stuff. And it's oddly enough, it's strangely powerful for what it is.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, like as somebody who like whose first experience with GarageBand was like a 6th grade computer class, just like throwing in the library samples of like synth noises until something sounded good. I never expected to come back around to it with something that actually had a minute amount of like production value.
Yeah, GarageBand.
Garage gang.
GarageBand.
I'm getting ahead of myself. GarageBand gets a lot of flack from, like, I know electronic musicians because it's not as great for MIDI. But as far as recording instruments, it's actually pretty darn good. I mean, all the elements are there.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I should also clarify, like, I am not in any way a big user of Macs. My dad is, though. He's part of the whole, quote unquote cult. And it was just sort of like, okay, I could use my USB microphone hooked up to Audacity, or I could use the professional quality microphone that's hooked up to GarageBand. I think I'll just go in there and do that.
Yeah. What kind of microphone was it? Just out of curiosity.
It was an Audio-Technica something. I should know the actual like designation for it, because
2020 or 2040 or something.
No. It's on. I should know because I typed it a million times in comments on all of my cover videos because people would ask every single time, and I'm like, it's the same one I used for the last one.
Yeah, people on YouTube aren't great at following dialogue from thing to thing. This is one of those little things that I noticed.
Yeah, it's that, and everyone asking for sheet music. Everybody thinks that I wrote down and transcribed every single song that I did, and I'm like, guys, there's a thing called transcribing, or not. I mean, learning by ear, I should say. Transcribing is exactly what I said.
That's interesting though, because I have noticed that a lot of people will think that every musician works that way.
Yeah.
Did you ever learn to do music that way at all, or?
Oh, absolutely. Like I started music in like 3rd grade and immediately went to like guitar lessons, and then I started playing sax in like 5th grade for like a 5th grade band thing, and it was immediately just music theory. So I mean, if it comes down to actually like writing music, I write an actual music notation. If it's like a like with most of my covers, if it's a song that I like and I think would lend itself to a saxophone cover, well, just I pick up the sax and I play the melody until I have it, and then I just find an instrumental and then play to that. Like there's at no point is there any like writing down or anything, unless there's like a certain direction that I need to remember.
Now, going back to your instrument, what's the saxophone that you use, the type?
Like the voicing, like I specialize. I mean, like my main horn is the baritone saxophone.
As in which kind of, like a tenor sax or alto sax?
Yeah.
He just said a baritone sax.
Oh, he did? He did say baritone? I did not hear.
I'm talking to Cyril and understood.
I may have mumbled.
I'm sorry.
And this is why I would shoot Snowblitz first.
This is the reason here. I've seen clearly.
Why won't you shoot Zeta? He sleeps in our interviews.
Because he's quiet.
Sleeping is a quiet activity, usually.
So you specialize in baritone sax. Do you play any others though?
Yes, I own an alto. I frequently borrow a tenor. I infrequently borrow a soprano. I can play the common saxes, even if I have to mooch off of other musical friends in order to get them.
Just trade your alto for a tenor. Altos are useless.
Honestly, here's the thing though. I agree, but that's just my personal opinion. No need to go spreading it around.
So how do you feel about Lisa Simpson then?
Dude, okay, I love Lisa Simpson. What I don't love is when people are like, people will just be like, oh yeah, no, Lisa Simpson plays that tenor really nice. Like, no, screw you. That's a baritone. That's a baritone sax. This is why
I bring this up.
Yeah, like, don't take this away from me. This is the only claim to fame the baritone sax has. Don't steal that. We need this.
It's actually sad because the baritone sax is just so awesome. I love bari sax.
Yeah, like I picked it because it was such a it just has such this raw tone that lends itself to so many different styles of music really well, solo wise and otherwise. But it's definitely on the more obscure end of the spectrum when it comes to reed instruments.
Yeah, but it's not like a contrabass.
No,
clarinet.
definitely not.
That's weird.
It's not quite there.
Oh, yeah.
But definitely on the scale, it's a little bit more toward the hipster shades, but you've never heard of it scale.
Except I don't think I've known a hipster that plays Barry
You
sax.
you do now.
Oh.
There we
You
go.
should see the size of the rims of my glasses. It's mind-boggling.
No.
Okay, let me get the Twitter back up.
It's funny because I'm looking at your YouTube and I'm not seeing any glasses at all.
Okay.
I'm just seeing raccoon eyes.
I got it. Oh yeah. Okay. Eye bag life. Also, I haven't. The last video like that actually has me in it that I have on my YouTube is from like 2 years ago. You also see my Tumblr. That's where the good stuff happens. By good stuff, I mean just really inappropriate, naughty stuff.
Oh, Andrew got the fedora.
No,
on.
don't. That was a phase in 8th grade. that was a phase in 8th grade. I got over that really fast. I promise.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't
Okay.
happen.
It was a minor deviation.
So there was a rift
Okay.
in the matrix or something.
There was.
Did you say 8th grade? That doesn't look like an
Okay,
8th
it was maybe
grader.
more like 9th. No, okay, there was like a week in it's my senior year where I started wearing a fedora again.
Whoever's
Oh.
editing this episode, put that
Yeah,
picture
Yeah, we
up.
need that picture in there.
Okay, wait, I need to.
We
You have
need
to
it.
forward that along to Luna or whoever's doing this.
Oh yeah,
Thank
no, I
you.
took this. I took it ironically. I swear.
That makes you even more of a hipster.
I know, right? No, I
Oh,
swear, I
dear.
took it ironically.
I promise.
I thought it was cool.
All right, so going back,
That's like going to an amusement park and buying the shirt ironically.
Yeah, like I still at some point I guess bought the shirt. I wore the fedora, so I'm guilty.
going back to music, when did you pick up the sax? Was this like a school band type of thing where you needed to pick an instrument and you decided to choose the sax, or what?
Yeah, it started out like that. Like I mean, I played guitar from 3rd grade to like 5th or 6th grade, and it was one of those things where, for once, our school district was doing something musically inclined and artistically, out there, and it was like, okay, definitely gonna do this. What instrument do I play? Like I have no idea what even is a trombone. And they gave us these sheets, like the poorly photocopied black and white things where it had like a picture of each instrument. And I remember my basis for choosing was I had been playing a lot of SimCity, and it had like all this weird abstract like avant-garde jazz playing in the background. And anybody who plays SimCity like 4 knows. So I was like, what instrument is that? It could be the trumpet, or it could be the sax. And I just on a whim went like, I'm gonna guess it's the sax. I'm gonna play that one. So I just like by chance happened to land right in this thing. And that was like 5th grade or so.
Wow.
And was it always like a jazz thing? Were you always kind of drawn to that style of music at all? or-
Absolutely. The many stories of among my family of like me coming home day 3 and like playing Mary Had a Little Lamb, but like swinging all the 8th notes. It just sounded like crap. But I was like, that's what makes it jazz, right? If it sounds like crap, that's jazz.
It's interesting.
It's basically
Yeah.
true.
No,
If you
no.
take-
It's
No.
Hey,
Ah.
I did band
You take-
class as well. I know the
you take
same
melodies
boat.
that already exist, you mess them up, and then it becomes jazz.
Yeah, but high school jazz that isn't real jazz.
Middle school jazz
This was
isn't
never
jazz.
real
High school jazz was
jazz.
all right.
It was never because
Well, now you caught me. You spoiled it. It was going to be a big surprise.
Way to go,
It was the
Ada.
punchline, and now it's just it's gone.
Get out of here, Zeta.
Wait, when did Zeta
He snuck
get here?
in.
I know.
He just
He's not even recording.
No.
What a nerd.
But anyway, no, it's a funny thing with jazz because for a lot of young people, it's hard to get into jazz or to appreciate jazz. And I'm not sure if you've noticed this with other people, but like I myself never developed any kind of appreciation for jazz until like near the end of high school. And it's something that's just kind of lost on a lot of people until like they've had enough time to like live and feel sad and stuff and kind of appreciate the blues and then work their way into jazz and figuring out all the notes that exist in music in between the notes that are being played by the rhythm section.
I don't know. I always loved jazz. That's why I picked trumpet back in 5th grade.
Well, that's the thing with jazz. Like, when I was in jazz, the most popularity that you get, like appreciation, is mostly the brass, except for the saxophone, which you need the sax in jazz. But the woodwinds don't really get that much credit.
There's like a
anymore.
diagram for this. It's that in a standard big band, you have the trumpet section, the trombones, and the saxes. The trumpet section is the section that everybody in the audience appreciates in the moment and remembers after the concert. Yeah, and then the saxes are the section that this audience appreciates in the moment but doesn't really remember after the concert. And the trombone section they just don't care about.
Is it just me, or am I the only one in here who hasn't actually taken jazz before?
I haven't taken jazz. It's all right.
Ah, yay.
I took a jazz course, but that wasn't performance. It was just learning about jazz.
I've only played jazz only from up to like 6th or 7th grade. I think that's
some
basically
guy
it.
in a trench coat offered me 4 whole jazzes, and I took them.
My mom used to do jazzercise.
That counts.
I don't think that counts.
I read one of those Pepsi ads that said "Get Jazz," and I was like, "Oh, okay. I guess that's me now."
There you go.
I think at the beginning of the show, Forrest mentioned that you do a lot of covers of various songs in the fandom, sax covers, but you also do a lot of collaborations.
Collaborations are basically... if it wasn't for collaborations, I would have already been like completely off the radar, like 100%. It's also it's a lot more fun when when somebody else has already done like 90% of the work and then just comes to you and is like, "Hey, do you want a chance to like lend something that is minimal but sounds great to this already great sounding song?" And it's like, well, yeah, of course. I don't have to do any work. Yeah.
So you say less work. Does this mean that you find it easier to work on your own jazz melodies as opposed to doing saxophone covers of other songs?
Like if you're talking about like writing, I am not a writer, at least not yet in any regard. Like I've written some basic stuff and it's nowhere near the point where I would even think about doing anything, going anywhere with it. So for me, it is much easier to either take a song that is already there and make my own interpretation of it, or to just, if somebody has a collab and they're like, "Hey, I need a certain sax part here," it's much easier to go in and do that because it's less about like pure from the ground creation and more just about interpretation, which I think is probably one of my better strengths.
So when they give you collaborations, do they give you like the notes of which to play, or do you just come up right off the
Improvise
spot?
It depends. Sometimes, like Sprocket, a lot of times when I get collabs from him, because it honestly depends on who it is too. A lot of times from him, it's just he says, "Hey, I just need a solo for this thing," and I'm like, "Okay, how long do you want it to be? Like where in the song, point A and point B? Okay, I'll just improvise from here to there," and that's on most of the stuff that I do. Other stuff, like if it's with Jay Carlson, like his ska stuff, there'll be a certain melody to follow and that I will kind of stick to just because it makes sense. Then really the only thing in between that is when Sprocket did that big massive collaboration, and Forrest, you were part of that. That was super fun. What that was?
Yes.
Just Like You. That was probably one of the first times where I'd actually delved into like writing lines, because he was like, "I need you to actually make the sax lines. I have a basic kind of outline of what I want them to be, but I need you to like kind of write them down and make sense of it and record it." And that's really the only departure from like the two either improvise or play this line things that I've had.
And just leading into something related to our first song, tell us a little bit about putting together a medley.
Well, if it's the one I'm pretty sure it is. Thankfully, I didn't have to do anything with that, because that was based off an instrumental that I downloaded off of somebody's SoundCloud. Although I will say that the process for that was a little bit intensive. I definitely had to slack off in more than one college classes to sit there and kind of listen to it and write down timestamps and be like, I want these saxophones here, I want this melody to be here, I want these saxophones doing this, I want this saxophone harmonizing with this saxophone here. It was a little hectic. My phone notes pad was like insane at some point.
All right. Well, we'll get into this. We'll take a listen and we'll talk a little bit about it afterwards. For our first song tonight, we're going to listen to the Friendship is Witchcraft Sax Medley by Sax Brony. And you're listening to Elements of Harmony on Canterlot Hill.
Okay, and that was Friendship is Witchcraft Medley by Sax Brony. Now, let's talk about, I guess, I wouldn't say inspiration, but I guess, like, how did you put it all together into something purely amazing?
And how many saxes did you use?
Yeah, that was my question too. Because as someone who doesn't really know much about saxophone, it felt like there was a bunch of different saxes in there, but I wasn't entirely sure.
I created the perfect illusion. I used 3 for that one. I used my own baritone and alto, and then I borrowed a friend's tenor and put that in there more toward the end. Definitely mostly baritone and alto because I didn't know I was going to be able to get the tenor until later on. So 3 total. On as far as like motivation or inspiration to want, to put as much effort into it as I did, I guess. I've always really, really, really absolutely adored the music from French's Witchcraft. I think, Griffin just does an amazing. He's an amazing composer. And
he's very specific too. If you ever work with him, he's a very, 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 very meticulous.
And honestly, I mean, I've done a couple of projects with him, and it's honestly, there's a certain side of me that appreciates that. Definitely, it's just a straightforward. I want it done like this, and I need this here and this here and this here. And it's like, oh, perfect. I can get this done in like 5 minutes. But and I don't know. It's just I love Pinky's Brew. I love Gypsy Bard. Just every little instrumental phrase that he throws into that show. It's just, I mean, it's all so catchy to me. So when I looked on his SoundCloud and I saw he had this instrumental medley of all of the songs on there, I was like, I've got to do something with this because it's practically an instrumental already. I absolutely love these songs. I need to do something with this.
You got some really nice tone out of that alto sax in there too. Where at one point I almost thought that you were using a soprano.
Oh, you got that. See, I'm very self-conscious about my tone on alto, especially that alto. It's a shoddy student model like accent that it's like the first saxophone I ever got in like 5th grade, and I'm surprised it was as in tune as it was, which still wasn't very in tune. I'm glad that it at least sounded in place. The soprano thing is a little bit of a quirk that I have with it that I wish I could kind of get rid of, but that might also just be my bias for lower tones coming through. So who knows?
Can you can you explain that a little bit more, your bias?
I really don't quite understand it myself. All I know is that when I first wanted to play sax, I was like, I know there is at least an alto and a tenor. I know the tenor's a deeper one. I want to play the tenor. And they were like, you're kind of a small kid. Let's put you on the alto. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, they never really they always do that to a lot of kids, especially like in 4th and 5th grade. They just give you a small instrument. It's like, and there you honest, go, kiddo. You get. I almost
ended up dropping out of band entirely, and like, because it wasn't speaking to me. The alto wasn't really, and the music we were playing was like basic 6th grade stuff. It just wasn't. I wasn't digging it, but. There was a point where I walked into band class one day, and there was a baritone sax, one of the school's baritone saxes, just like sitting partially dismantled on a table, and I was like, "What is that? Oh, what?" And like I begged my director, I was like, "You gotta let me play this thing. What is it?" And like, it took a lot of convincing, but he sitting there with a mouthpiece and all that, and I went and bought reeds for. And immediately I was like, this, I need to play this for a long time. I just, something about this, maybe it's just the way my ears are built or something. I don't know. I just prefer, the lower tones seem to just be a bit more tangible to my ears. It speaks to me more. Like, I don't want to get all metaphysical or like weird spiritual or whatever, but yeah.
No, it's okay. Your saxophone talks to you sometimes. Go on.
I take too many jazzes, and then I hear voices coming out of the sax.
Kill the woodwinds.
So basically, no. If he kills the woodwinds, he's basically killing his own kind.
No. Saxophones are a false woodwind. They really belong with the brass.
You are a liar.
I showed
they
up
count
to
as
the
a woodwind
class
Sax
on the first day
Brony.
of 5th grade band because I thought the saxophone was a brass instrument. And he was like, what are you doing
it's
here?
cool
like,
enough to be
here
with
for
us.
band. And he was like, today is the brass day. You're a woodwind. And I was like, what?
It's so confusing with sax because it's the body is brass, and then
It's
but
literally just
the
the
only
reed.
thing woodwind about
the
it is
reed.
just because of
Yeah.
the reed. It's the reed.
Yeah,
That's
because
it.
it's the wood that
you can argue
produces
that
the vibrations that go
only
through the instrument.
piece of the
but-
instrument that is capable of creating the actual sound, where the sound starts, is wood. Well, it's not wood; it's cane. But so you can argue that or whatever. But I don't know. As a 5th grade kid, I was like,
Yeah.
made of brass instrument. I will
Look,
I will
you
accept
chose
that.
right by thinking it's brass, okay?
We shall call this the Tim complex.
Even though it's false.
So when you switched from the alto to the bari, now that's quite a difference in size of instrument, and also some people have issues with getting enough airflow going through the instrument. Did you have any kind of problems with that,
Relatively,
or did it pretty much come natural to you?
It came naturally, but there was definitely a period of adjustment where I was like, how do you even low notes? And it was like just slamming every key down and just like, but like it, as far as like size goes and all that, it never was a huge obstacle. The baritone came very naturally. I don't know. I never had a whole lot of struggle with it. And I think partially it's because the baritone and the alto they're in the same key. They're just an octave apart. Like, you have the alto in E flat, then you go to the tenor, which is only it's like, it goes to B flat. So it's not a whole octave change. It's just like it's like basically, technically it's not, but it's like half an octave. Then you go up to bari and makes a full octave from the alto. So just, up to E flat, same fingerings and everything for the same notes, just, more air.
Yeah.
Dude, not 99% of gigs, I've never had that problem. There was one concert, when I got into my senior year of high school, I was very active in that band at my high school. So my director wanted to send me off that year with like a couple of features, like several different feature songs. And I was like, this is too good to be true. This is awesome. So I had these 2 just killer baritone sax solo feature pieces that I was going to play in this jazz band. And there was this smaller end gig that wasn't quite, so critically important. So we decided to test out both of these songs. So basically I ended up playing both of these features back to back on top of like a 3-hour jam session that happened before the concert actually started. So, and I didn't think about it. I was just having fun in the practice room. I didn't think about, I was like, oh, sax players don't get chopped, because we really don't until it gets to an extreme point. But so I went up there and I got like probably halfway through the first feature before I was just going, no, oh no, oh god. And yeah, then it hit me where I was like,
no,
air is like escaping from the corners of my mouth and my lips are shaking and I'm just like, my embouchure was
Your embouchure is just
and I'm
disintegrating.
looking over at my band director going like, why?
You did this to me.
Yes, every convention I get dragged into. Oop, that was my microphone. I get unofficially dragged into performing with somebody. Like yeah, exactly. Everything gets it's
That's
like
your
gravity
microphone being
just pulled.
dragged into it with you.
But like, I've never officially been, invited to perform at a convention. Like, I've never officially had a slot. Usually what happens is it gets down to like 3 months before a con, and then I have certain friends who are like, hey, I could really use a saxophone to help fill out my section. Do you want to play with me at like Everfree? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, you've performed with, let's see, BronyMike, Hey Last Fast, Tarby, Automatic Jack, and in preparation for this, I decided to ask.
Yes.
You did a set with Jeff Burgess and the Bad Mares at Everfree Northwest, so I asked Jeff Burgess, aka Julian Moon, what it's like to work with you, and his words, I quote, are, "He's the best." And I'm like, can you expand on this at all? And he's like, yeah, he's the best. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's
And he's
Jeff.
like, always
right.
prepared, sexy as F, very talented.
I can't imagine him answering that in any other way, actually.
No, that's Jeff, all right.
So really, I guess we're here to ask: is that really all that true, or is there like something going on between you two, or what?
It's just friends, just friends.
If it was East Coast, it would be Cyril, because everybody's in Cyril.
Lost in that chest.
But
Oh my.
So then you performed at a few cons. You performed like at, you said, was it high school or university or something along those lines? How often do you perform then?
When I can tell you right now, when I was in high school, I was in 2 high school bands. I was in, varied between 1 to 2 outside big bands from the community. I performed a gig like at least twice every month. Like it's you know, it ties into the thing where people ask me if I get nervous before it's honestly it's totally killed that. Like I there's no, unless there's like some sort of weird, mispreparation thing going on, performances don't affect me anymore. It's the same thing that I've been doing for like literally like 75% of my life. I don't know. It's just it was a very frequent, when your high school band is as involved as mine was in like local music areas, you get a lot of performances in. It's nuts. Yeah, it's like
second nature at that point. Right?
Everfree Northwest 2013, tying into people just random, out of nowhere collaborations. Replacer was playing at that Everfree and was just like, hey, I've got a song that has like this baritone sax lick on it. Do you want in? I play in 30 minutes. And I was like, well, yeah, sure. I mean, can I listen to the thing first? but I mean, it's just like my concern was, I need to find some headphones and plug in so I can like listen to this thing and figure out this lick. The concern was not, oh, there's a group of like, however many people out there that I'm going to be in. Yeah. Like that never really factors in. 2,000 people out there
waiting to watch you screw up.
Usually, let's put it this way: if I screw up, nobody is going to be taking it out on me harder than me. Yeah, it really is. It's extremely true that we are all our own worst critic.
We basically are. Yeah. It's quite true. I was just going to ask, have you done any like music festivals or stuff like that? Usually like competitions. I can probably give you an example. Like for me, when I was in band, I took NYSMA, which is New York State School Music Association, and basically it does is basically your teacher gives you a sheet of music sheet, and you basically practice that. Then you go to the association, and then you get judged by the scales. They basically tell you which scale to play, and then they make you play the song, and then they judge you. Have you done any stuff like that, or is it probably just me?
Oh no, actually, I know I've bragged a little bit already, but I'm gonna do it again.
It's alright, because I'm curious myself.
Okay, well in that case, there was this local, well, it's local as in the state of Washington, solo ensemble competition for like high schoolers, middle school a little bit, but mainly for the last 4 years of school, where it's a classical competition for basically any instrument, and they have the regional stage and then the state stage, and I competed in that in 8th, laps in 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. All years I scored like the technically, it's rated on a scale from 4 to 1, 4 being worst, 1 being best. I scored 1s all those years. The last 2 years I made it, I qualified for state level. My last year, senior year, I went to state and took home 2nd place.
Ooh,
nice.
It was, and I can tell you right now, as a guy who doesn't normally like care about classical music, I care about it. It's just I definitely don't invest myself in it a whole lot. That was probably one of the most nerve-wracking things of my entire life.
It is stressful. It really is.
Yeah, and once again, it ties into the whole not an audience factor thing. I was playing in front of like 3 old dudes.
That happens every time. It's always with an old person, and they're always nasty. And like, all right, you better do this right. Give me the C scale. Now give me the option.
See, luckily there was no scale. If there was scales drills, I probably would have failed,
they made me do the scales in the beginning, and then they told me to play the song.
Right.
It's so
I mean, it's definitely a different, group association or whatever, but it's like, I just had to play this piece, this classical piece that I've been practicing for like months and months and months and months. And it was just, it's really just, it's nerve-wracking to say the least.
It's terrifying.
I've never had to do these solo things, but I've had to do like group performances that are judged and stuff like that. Anyway,
they usually have
like
those
and stuff.
Yeah, they usually do group.
So moving into our second song break here, I seem to recall a while back receiving a message from a certain Everfree Brony about a collaboration that he was doing with you, and I remember him saying, "Oh, you can do the art and stuff, and here, let me send you the song." Can you tell us a little bit about this song that you and Everfree Brony put together?
I guess I could. This song is a ponification, a pony parody of a very well received, very well loved song that it's fairly recent by the very talented Pharrell Williams. It's happy, but Pony with an I.
Yeah, because everything's better with Pony.
It's true, and eyes.
Oh yeah, that too.
And the letter I. Yep.
The letter I is there's 2 I's in my name, so I'm a little bit biased.
So, without further ado, this is Everfree Brony's Pony featuring Sax Brony. You're listening to Elements of Harmony on Canterlot Hill.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Celestia's light shining on my face. Well, I'm pumped up and ready for a new day. Yet again, seems everything's going my way. Cause I'm Pony. Trot along if you feel like a sky without the blues. Because I'm Pony. Trot along if you feel
Elements of Harmony is brought to you by the letter I. For all those who don't get it, there was one other person from EOH staff that actually contributed to this song, and all he contributed was a letter.
It's true.
Oh.
Oh,
That
God.
letter was powerful, though. It was like the linchpin of the whole song.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Also, can I say that was probably some of the most fun I've had drawing a song cover, and I want to draw your pony more. He looks adorable. Saxy.
So, when you were drawing that then,
I mean, that's
did you
cool.
like listen to that song on repeat, kind of like the 10-hour music video or 24-hour music video or whatever it was?
I know this song better than most people probably because of that. I listened to it on repeat for so long while working on this picture here, and oh man. You done good, Saxy. You done good.
And during that time, you never got the urge to just take a break and watch Despicable Me 2?
I did watch it once, I'll admit.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, yeah, that was a really awesome parody, and great job on the sax.
Very
Thank you
so.
so much.
Oh, yeah.
Let's
definitely.
start. Oh, very smooth.
That was an alto.
Oh, so
You're not
that's
allowed.
actually a really good segue into our tech talk tonight. Let's talk a little bit about, composing music around saxophone, the difference between the types of saxophones and what you try to convey when you're switching between them in songs. So, here, let's use this song as an example. Why did you pick alto?
Why did you
like-
alto?
Why alto?
Yeah.
Why do alto? So why did I do alto for the pony?
Yeah.
I think to be honest, it might have just been for Everfree Brony saying, by the way, I want you to do alto for this one. But either way, I think I would have ended up gravitating toward that one more just because it was, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Barry and all that. But it's more of an anchoring instrument, or if there's, kind of a weird arrangement or just an arrangement where you can you feel like that the lower end would kind of fit in well in the mix, then yeah, great, go for it. This was, it was very poppy. It's very mainstream, just kind of popular current music. And I don't know, it just kind of felt like it needed something a bit more energetic and, I guess tangible for the average listener. Most people when they hear a baritone sax, I mean, a lot of people just love it, and I appreciate that. But most people kind of hear it and go, that's kind of strange. But when somebody hears like an alto played well or a tenor played well, they're like, oh man, saxophone, ooh yes.
Yeah. So, and now I mean, not all of it is always range because there's of course an overlap. So when you pick, say, an alto over a tenor, and it's something that you could play on a tenor in the right range, would it just be kind of about the timbre, the way it affects the energy?
I can tell you right now, if there was a piece that I could play equally well on both alto and tenor, the only reason I would pick alto over tenor is because I own an alto, and borrowing a tenor would be too much trouble. Like that's pretty much it. There are, I mean, it's just a personal, matter, personal preference. There are a few contexts in which I would willingly put the alto, like if I had to play it. I don't know. It's just, I feel like through the use of altissimo and all that, I feel like a tenor can easily cover that, at least in a solo, like solo wise.
Real quick, just for the different types of saxophones, could you just kind of go over everything from soprano sax all the way down to bari sax, and just kind of outline like what the differences in ranges are and what the differences in tones are between them?
Welcome to class, kids.
Hey, sure. All right. So
Yeah, pretty much.
you've got soprano. Technically, you've got sopranino, but that's a weird, obscure thing. We don't want to. We don't talk about the soprano.
No, we don't.
No.
Yeah, it's just, it doesn't need to be discussed. Soprano, key of B flat, often referred to as the golden clarinet because it's the straight. Most commonly it's a straight sax. There are curved sopranos.
Made famous by Kenny G.
Duh.
Oh man.
I thought I could go like a one day without somebody mentioning Kenny G to me.
I know, we hear that. I hear that name every day. Like
Yeah, but you don't play saxophone and get compared to it.
There are
no,
many...
but when I played clarinet, like my parents say, "When are you gonna be like Kenny G?" It's like,
egregious. I don't know. There are many reasons I dislike Kenny G, and those are for another time. But yeah, it's you get soprano, key of B flat, hard as hell to keep in tune because the mouthpiece is just like this tiny little sliver in your mouth, basically.
Kind of like an oboe, or
easier to play than an oboe for sure, just because just the oboe is it's like an alien instrument. I don't even.
There is a lot of rules when you're mouthing the reed. Basically, what you have to do is you can't puff your cheeks, and you have to keep your tongue away from the reed.
Well, I mean, if you're going to be proper about it.
Well, that's what they taught me.
Well, yeah, that's what they teach you in like beginning band, and then those are things that you like gradually forget and you purposely lose from your brain as you like get more advanced. Because you learn certain techniques that you could never have pulled off at that grade, but could definitely do now, and that involves that. The soprano is not very common. It's kind of on the outlying edge. It's an outlier and should not be counted.
all right.
Alto is probably the most common, next to tenor. Easy to play for the most part. Still kind of got some tuning issues. Key of B flat. It's just like I said. It's basically the one that everyone starts out on usually. Tenor. Key of B flat again. So just halfway lower. Like blues, pop, it is basically the workhorse of the sax. It does everything. You can find a way to make a tenor fit in almost literally every single kind of music out there. And it's super versatile, and why it's definitely next to the alto the most popular of the saxes. Then you get to bari, which is like at the same time somehow the hardest and the easiest to play. Easiest because you don't have to worry about tuning, which is probably why I gravitated toward it also, because I tuning has never been my strong point. Hard is because it takes a lot of, especially when you get into advanced elements of it takes a lot of breath, not just like strength of breathing, but control of breathing, and just how you're using your embouchure, how you're using your air, where you're going to breathe. It takes a lot of adjustment, and you have to kind of become one with the instrument a lot more. That's the lowest usually that you would counter until you get to like super rich universities really have like bass saxes and contrabass saxes, which are the more exotic of the saxes for sure.
I have never seen a bass sax in person before. It's incredibly rare.
Dude, they are very, very rare and expensive beasts.
They also look like they'll just kill
Oh
you.
yeah, no, it's true.
Oh yeah, they're threatening.
A bass sax will mess you up. Contrabass sax will kill you.
I'm pretty sure that like people just don't play those because they're literally scared of the instrument.
The thing is, like, schools have like budgets and they don't really give them out to people.
Dude, there is it's true. There is some high schools can like hardly afford baritone saxes, but there's a university down the road in my town that has a bass sax, and I've been begging them to let me play that thing for like years.
Oh, man.
And every time my calls just get like ignored, and I'm like, oh.
So you mentioned that with bari sax, you don't have to worry about tuning. Just explain to our audience a little bit why you wouldn't have to as much with a bari sax as opposed to tenor or alto.
Well, you sort of do, but it's in different ways. Like with the alto and the tenor and the soprano, any higher sax, it's a smaller reed, which means that any movement that you make with your lips on the reed are going to affect, how in tune you are, and the amount of breath that you're putting through it can definitely affect your tuning. And as the reed and the mouthpiece gets smaller, so too do the movements with your mouth that you have to make in order to make those changes. So it's a lot easier to make unintentional changes to your tuning without realizing it. So a lot of times people will go from a lower sax to a higher sax, and they'll just be wicked out of tune because they don't know how to adjust right away for that. The bari is it's got to read like a just peeled off of a piece of bark from a tree. It's nothing if not like stable. Like you can bite that thing and it'll hardly get any sharper.
It's very forgiving.
It's forgiving in intonation for sure. Not in a whole lot of other way.
And how thick is like? Because there's usually like thickness for each reed. How far did you get with yours? Like, is yours 6 or 7, 5?
Honestly, it depends on the mouthpiece. When I was playing on the beginner, Yamaha 5C like plastic mouthpiece that is just like the default prefab that they throw in with the saxes when they sell them. That thing was like just super tiny and closed off in terms of the opening of the mouthpiece, the end of it. It's designed for kids to play it, so you don't have to put as much air into it. So since that's a right. softer mouthpiece to play on, you have to use a harder reed. I played on like Van Doren 4s, which is basically like chopping off a piece of a tree and putting it on your mouthpiece. When I started getting into like metal mouthpieces and just better overall design mouthpieces, it fluctuates. I'm playing on the best mouthpiece I've ever played right now, and it's like a Rico Jazz Select 2.
Oh, those are nice ones.
Yeah, but it always depends on the mouthpiece. If I put those on the mouthpiece I was playing back then, I'd sound like crap.
That is really interesting. I never really thought about how the mouthpiece might affect an instrument like that. I always thought, it's the buttons that do everything. But
no, it usually messes with it's the mouthpiece.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it depends on what reed you're using, what type of mouthpiece you're using. It has to work well together.
The saxophone is really truly only just an amplifier for the sound that's coming out of your mouthpiece.
It's like recording. If you have crappy sound in, you have crappy sound out. If you have good sound in, you have good sound out. It's why you want a good microphone in order to record your stuff.
Yeah, if you look at where the sound on the instrument starts, it starts in the mouthpiece and the reed, and if you don't have a good setup there, then it doesn't matter if you're playing a $10,000 horn, you're going to sound like crap.
Just a quick recording question, since I'm always focused on that kind of thing. When you're recording your saxophone, is there any specific techniques that you use to record it, so far as, mic placement, type of mic, any of that kind of stuff?
It's different every single time, and I scream at myself. It really is just like, I will try what I did the last time, and it doesn't sound as good. It's as far as placement, that's my phone. Pardon that. But yeah, it's very all over the place.
Okay.
Placement is put the microphone right there in front. Sounds good one take. The next take, it is like a train horn. Massive clipping edges on the waveform.
And you've done live recordings too. So there's a couple different. Like I'm sure in a studio setting you would always use like a large diaphragm mic. A few feet from the saxophone, but in a performance situation, if you're spot miking something like that, there's those little clip-on mics that are similar to like drum sets and stuff like that.
I want to get a mic that will clip to my bell or something, but it's never been a thing that I've been motivated to get, just because I don't perform like impromptu as much as I would like to. But yeah, usually if it's a live thing, it's just leave it to the audio guys and then pray for the best.
And one of the other things that I wanted to touch on too with with Tech Talk on saxophone, do you find that there's specific types of music that don't work well with saxophone, or do you find any challenges in the covers that you do, taking melodies and things like that weren't originally written for saxophone and then kind of converting it over?
Oh, absolutely.
And just to expand on that real quick, different types of saxophone included, like maybe one saxophone might work for one type of music but not the other kind?
No, absolutely. It's been a major source of frustration, because when you're basically every song that I've covered is it's a cover of a vocal composition, and when you're speaking words, you can stay on the same note and still convey different ideas with just the words that you're speaking. It doesn't matter if it's on the same note, you're speaking different words, so there's going to be some kind of idea being conveyed there. On the sax, if it comes to a point where it's like the same note but you're just tonguing it in different places, it can get really just really bizarre and not interesting sometimes, which is why you kind of have to make up for that in other ways, like, you know, just kind of improvising with the line, or you know, tonguing it differently using different rhythms. Just, you've got to find some way to make up for that, because, you know, some of these songs, let's face it, were just meant to be spoken or, you know, sung with words. It's a lot harder to sing with just notes. And as far as different saxes go, it's kind of like what I said, like why I picked alto for Poni, because you know, if you have a bright poppy song, you need a sax that can compete with that and kind of come out on top of that if it needs to, like with that solo. So alto is kind of the better choice for that kind of music. When it comes down to like you know, small ensembles and like, you know, quartets, especially when it comes down to like, you know, basic classic jazz, you know, bebop, small group settings, baritone is excellent because it's so great to showcase and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But you can, I mean, if you really want to and you have enough drive and, you know enough tricks, you can switch them in and out as much as you want. It just gets a little bit tricky.
I'm sorry, but every time you say bebop, I can't help but think of a saxophone with a cowboy hat on.
You know what? That's fine by me, to be completely honest. But yeah, it's just it's very tricky. I've almost torn my hair out on multiple occasions just because songs that I really liked and wanted to cover did not sound good on sax. Don't underestimate the amount of work you're going to have to put into it. If you want to do parlor tricks, fine. If you want to actually get into jazz and make it even just anything more than a hobby, you've got to be prepared to do the work behind it, because people like to tell romantic tales of, oh, I just sat down in front of my record player and started listening to albums and I became a jazz master. No, that person sat down, listened to records, transcribed every single sax solo that they had ever heard, learned scales inside and out, whether it was directly or through study of other, you know, saxophone players in their recordings. You have got to be willing to dedicate yourself to it.
It is basically years
exactly.
of development.
You're not going to sit down, play long tones and a couple of major scales for a couple of years and then be a great saxophone player. You have to give so much. You have to give so much, put so much of yourself into the instrument in order to get any sort of good quality product back out of it. So just, you know, don't think it's going to be a walk in the park. It'll be fun. It's going to be great, but it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world.
That could almost be said for pretty much all music, though,
It's true.
too.
It's true.
And a lot of people just don't realize that. It's like, oh, well, you know, I'm just going to open up GarageBand and I'll try to teach myself an instrument so I can be a famous Brony musician.
It's
It
true.
doesn't work that way.
Though I do feel like there is another element of that with like an instrument that, you know, like a wind instrument particularly, that you are actually like, I promise I don't mean this in a dirty sense, but you are putting the instrument inside of you and it's becoming part of you. There's a whole nother level going on there involving just, you know, organically how you're interacting with the instrument, that I think it makes it, let's put it this way, if I had no musical experience, I feel like I could pick up a guitar or like, you know, a piano and learn to play it fairly quickly. I could not pick up a sax and just play sax. It doesn't work like that.
Well, thanks again. As always, you've been a wonderful guest. And don't forget to check out our other shows. On Thursdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have Sketchy Sounds Live Songcast. And at 8 p.m., we have a Crusty Unlimited. And on Fridays at 2 p.m., we have Luna Beats. Again, all times are in Eastern. And as always, this has been
Snowblitz,
Fritzy Beat,
Forest Rain,
Starlight.
The Sax Brony.
The Sax Brony.
Sax Brony.